You have Dior having their pre-fall collection happen in India, in Mumbai in 2023. You have Louis Vuitton having Deepika Padukone as one of their ambassadors. You even have Halsey, the singer, talk about how her eyeshadow matches her sari perfectly in the attempt to promote her beauty line. Hey, what's up you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Maryam and I talk about all things fashion and lifestyle. Today's video is a very interesting one. We're gonna be talking about why the West cares about India or Indian couture. It's really hard to ignore the sudden interest in South Asian culture, whether it be the jewelry, the clothing, or even the talent, i.e. people from Bollywood. As someone who's South Asian, this is very interesting. I'm Indian, and growing up, I never felt like South Asian women were represented in any form of media, whether that be Western or even Bollywood, because there's a specific type of beauty standard that is very much so looked up to in South Asia, and it comes from when the Brits were colonizing India. The whole love for white skin, fair skin, pin straight hair, it's like deeply rooted into our ancestors that, you know, that's like the ideal beauty standard, and this is even more deeply rooted into our brains through like the advertisements you see about promoting fair skin. So what I'm trying to say is that South Asian beauty was never really considered to be cool by either media forms, and now all of a sudden you see the West have Deepika Padukone, the face of Louis Vuitton, one of the ambassadors. You see Halsey trying to promote her beauty line by referencing the sari she's wearing, which is a very traditional Indian wear. And you also see Bergdorf Goodman collaborating with Sabyasachi, which is a big Indian designer when it comes to the jewelry. So you can kind of see a sudden interest in the South Asian market. We're going to be focusing more on India today, and I'm not really going to be talking about cultural appropriation because my views on that can be quite controversial, and I feel like that's a video on its own. Maybe I can make a video about that later. But let's talk more about the West and how they're trying to get into the Indian market, and later on we'll also talk about why they're trying to do that. So first, let's start by talking about Dior. So Dior actually launched their own limited edition collection, which was inspired fully by India. I mean, all the bags were gorgeous. They were all vibrant in color. They didn't shy away from sequences. They didn't shy away from prints. I mean, you see peacocks on bags, you see glitz and glamour. South Asia, India, they love their colors. We love our colors. We love our jewelry. We love everything to be vibrant. And I think Dior did actually a fair job in representing the actual love for color and vibrance in their collection. And the actual pre-fall show in 2023 was held in Mumbai, which is the commercial capital of India. And you had celebrities there such as Zendaya, Gigi Hadid, and also Tamara, one of my favorite influencers, all dressed in traditional Indian wear. I mean, I personally love wearing my South Asian jewelry. You guys know me. I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen a reel or two about my love for desi jewelry. Also, like I mentioned earlier, Louis Vuitton now has Deepika Padukone as one of their brand ambassadors, which is a massive thing. I mean, think about why a luxury brand would want to have someone Indian as the face of their brand. Like, think about why, and I think it will come back to this later on in the video. And then you even have Bergdorf Goodman, which is like the equivalent of like a Selfridges in New York, collaborating with Sabyasachi on their jewelry. I mean, I personally love this brand. I never really knew much about this specific brand here until I was introduced to it by my mother, and then like now I love it. They're a luxury brand in India known for their bridal wear, jewelry, handbags, I mean, you name it. And this is not their first collaboration with like a Western brand. I mean, a few years ago they had a collab with H&M, which did really well. Everything sold out. I couldn't get my hands on anything. There is now a growing interest in South Asia and the South Asian market, the South Asian culture, which is so rich. If we just talk about couture, there are so many different types of South Asian clothing. There are so many different types of jewelry. India itself has so many different types of cultures and languages and different subcultures. Like, there's just a lot. So as a designer, whether you're from the West or you're from South Asia, there's so much inspiration to draw from there. So it's no surprise that people are getting more into it. Before we talk about why the West all of a sudden cares about India, let's talk about the Indian consumer a little bit. Generally, you will see that Indians still have this sense of pride that they still have when it comes to their own designs, their own form of clothing, their own jewels. When the Brits colonized India, there was the big loot, and they literally looted us a lot. I mean, they took away a lot of the jewels. The reason I'm bringing this up is that even though we had all of that happen, that sense of pride of knowing that there's a lot that India has to offer didn't really leave us. Like, the Indian population knows that India has a lot to offer when it comes to jewels, fashion, couture. Even Cartier back in the day would go to India to buy his jewels from there, which is quite interesting. So there are really two reasons why the West now all of a sudden cares about India and the Indian consumer, and it's really because of A, a higher spending power, and B, exposure to different trends around the world. I remember back when I was in business school, we even had a whole section about the growing luxury market in India, and I remember this was 2 years ago. But now, Bain & Company actually predicted that the Indian luxury market is going to grow by 3.5 times its actual size now by 2030, which is a very significant number to keep in mind. And between the years 2022 and 2027, so 5 years, it's predicted that the number of millionaires in India is going to grow by 69%, which is massive. You can see that there's a larger spending power in India, and there's a higher exposure to the trends happening around the world. So that's definitely opportunity for brands, and brands are not going to sit back and not be a part of it. I mean, they're definitely going to want to, you know, nudge their way in, get more cozy with the consumer, i.e. Louis Vuitton having one of the most loved actresses as their ambassadors. They're definitely trying to build that connection over there. They're definitely not trying to miss out on the opportunity there, because there's a larger spending power now, especially after the pandemic. There was a large amount of revenge buying. Another sign for all the Western brands was revenge shopping after the pandemic. I mean, after the pandemic subsided, the Indian consumer was really trying to just, you know, be part of trends again. I really wanted to make a video talking about this because I find it fascinating and very, very interesting. In the future, I might even make dedicated videos about Indian designers, up and coming designers, because there are quite a few, and I think it'll be really fun to talk about them. And let me know what you guys thought about today's video. Let me know anything you want to see next. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
You're gone now. Will you come